Khana is an urban residential area in Lahore, where the buildings are packed tightly together, and daily life unfolds in close quarters. Recently, a residential roof here caved in. Rescue workers spent hours clearing heavy brick debris from a makeshift tuition center where several young children were killed. Public outrage usually follows the same pattern: blame the poor infrastructure or the local women who run these centers out of financial desperation. Beyond this physical destruction, millions of children nationwide are experiencing a cognitive collapse, a slow erosion of mental potential happening in homes every day. We have to examine why very young children are being removed from their own homes for several hours a day to sit in these unregulated, often unsafe environments. This is a system of educational exploitation. It relies on a widespread belief that simply dropping a child off for hours of neighborhood tuition fulfills the requirements of good parenting. Parents assume they are paying for academic rigor and a head start in life. In reality, they are paying into a cycle that neglects a child's mental development while placing them in spaces that lack basic safety oversight. These centers operate in the back rooms of residential houses or behind ordinary neighborhood storefronts. They are holding pens, not schools. While children sit at low tables, the caregiver is often busy with household chores, like cooking or stirring a pot. The students spend the majority of their time chatting or staring at the walls. Actual teaching is minimal. It might consist of a single hint on a math problem or reading one line of text during an entire 4-hour session. This creates an environment where the net educational output is nearly zero, yet it satisfies the parental desire to feel like their child is studying. This environment introduces a form of mental stagnation. When a child follows this routine from class 1 through class 5, their brain begins to adapt to extreme inefficiency. This chart shows a typical 4-hour tuition block. 95% of the time is spent in distraction. The brain learns that a task requiring 10 minutes of focus can be stretched out across half a day. When that student reaches the 8th or 10th grade, the volume of material they must master increases sharply. A brain trained for years to produce only half a page of work per day cannot suddenly process hundreds of pages. It lacks the capacity to contain or synthesize this level of information. Neighborhood tuition culture doesn't just fail to teach, it builds habits that make higher-level academic success statistically unlikely. The reason this system persists is psychological. Parents use these centers to manage their own household stress and outsource their daily parenting responsibilities. Many parents find it more convenient to focus on mundane chores, like washing dishes in silence, than to sit and actively engage with their child's learning. They trade the formative hours of their child's development for a daily window of personal convenience. This treats human potential as a daily household nuisance to be handed off to whoever is willing to watch the children for a small fee. The macro result is a generation advancing into adulthood with low mental initiative and a lack of the social values that are typically built through active parental guidance. Years later, parents will spend significant sums on specialized academies after high school. They hope these institutions can quickly instill officer-like qualities, the complex personal traits required for leadership. These traits, discipline, initiative, and focus, are actually the product of early childhood development, not late-stage cramming. By the time a student reaches these academies, the developmental window has closed. The foundation was supposed to be built 10 years earlier. You cannot buy a new personality or a focused mind at 18 if those traits were never cultivated during childhood. The concept of daily neighborhood tuition should be removed from the family routine up to the 10th grade. Real education and personality building require parents to take an active, personal role inside their own homes. The incident in Khana is a physical manifestation of what happens when a society has outsourced its children's future to the lowest bidder. Parents must decide whether to embrace the difficult work of raising their own children or continue a cycle of neglect that compromises an entire generation.